Good morning, 8th graders, and welcome to virtual math class. Today we're going to be talking about finding the slope when we're just given 2 points. And our objective for today is exactly that. Students will be able to find the slope of a line when given 2 points that lie on the line. So first, let's talk about the ways that we already know about how to find the slope of a line. So we know that we can do rise over run. We know that we can do our vertical distance over our horizontal distance. And we know that we can do the change in our y coordinates over the change in our x coordinate. So now think about if we're going to use those. So if we have the change in our y coordinate, essentially that's finding the difference between them. So that means we're going to be subtracting. We're subtracting our y coordinates, right? We're subtracting our y coordinates because that's how we find the difference or the change in our y coordinates. And then for our change in our x coordinates, change is also finding the difference. So we're going to be subtracting our x coordinates. So we're going to be doing our y coordinates subtracted and then our x coordinates subtracted. Now, I'm just going to add this like y2 and y1. That way we can distinguish our points because we are given 2 coordinates, which means that we're going to have 2 x coordinates and 2 y coordinates. So today, while we know that we can use any of these other methods, today I'm going to be focusing on this one right here. Okay, so we're asked to find the slope of a line that passes through the points 1, 12 and 8, 7. So I have 1, 12 and 8, 7. Now, I have 2 x coordinates and I have 2 y coordinates. So remember that I said I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what that means is that I'm going to label each of my coordinates. So my first x coordinate is going to be x1. My first y coordinate is going to be y1. And then I'm going to have x2 and y2. And now I'm just going to plug in these numbers into that equation. So for y2 is 7. y1 is 12. And then I have that divided by or over x2, which is 8, minus x1, which is 1. So 7 minus 12 equals negative 5. And 8 minus 1 equals 7. So the slope of my line is negative 5 over 7. So now, let's think about that in a table. So I could put my x and y coordinates. So my first coordinate was 1, 12. My second coordinate was 8, 7. So the difference between, like what we did in our last video, the difference between 12 and 7 is minus 5. The difference between 1 and 8 is minus 7. So then I would have plus 7, So then I would have negative 5 over 7. Either way, I get the same answer. So if you want to stick them into the table because you think that's easier, then you do that, okay? But I'm going to use the formal way, which is the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But know that regardless of the method that you use, you're going to get the same slope. Okay, so find the slope of the line that passes through 1, 3, and 4, 5. So I have 1, 3, and I have 4, 5. And what is the equation that I'm using? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my points. So I have my first coordinates are my x1 and y1, and then I have x2 and y2. And now I just plug those numbers in to my equation. So for y2, I have 5, and I'm going to minus y1 is 3, and then x2 is 4, and x1 is 1. So now 5 minus 3, well, that's 2. 4 minus 1, well, that's 3. So what's the slope of my line? 2 over 3. It's that easy. And our last example together, find the slope of a line that passes through the point 2, negative 2, and 9, 7. So remember, we have y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I label my points x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 is 7, y1 is -2. So I have 7 minus -2 over x2 is 9 minus x1, which is 2. So now, what happens whenever I have a minus negative? So minus negative is the same thing as adding. So I'm going to have 7 plus 2, and 7 plus 2 is 9. And then I have 9 minus 2, which is 7. So the slope of my line is 9 over 7. And you're going to leave that just as it is, as an improper fraction. Don't turn it into a mixed number. Okay, now you're going to try 2 of them on your own. So find the slope of the line that passes through the point 2, 12, and 10, 5. Okay, so you should have had 5 minus 12 over 10 minus 2. 5 minus 12 would be -7. 10 minus 2 is 8. So the slope of your line should have been -7 over 8. And the last one on your row, find the slope of the line that passes through the point 2, 1 and 10, 10. So again, you do your y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and if we label our points, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we should have 10 minus 1 on top and 10 minus 2 on bottom. 10 minus 1 is 9, 10 minus 2 is 8, so the slope of our line is 9 over 8.